I think this is a really important video. This is a video on how to practice, at least 2 ways that I've changed the way I practice that I've found very helpful. I got one of the ways is directly from the Bulletproof Musician, the blog, who specializes in practice and performance anxiety and things like that. And the second tip, I kind of derived from it, but it didn't come directly from them, but definitely give them credit because I derived it from them. The first tip is, and the first way I've changed my practice, is to intersperse the things that I practice instead of practicing in big chunks. Which means if I have, let's say, 3 hours to practice, what I would always do before is practice in maybe 30-minute or hour chunks, big chunks, work on something small. And when you do that, you get a lot of improvement. You get a lot of improvement on whatever you're practicing when you're practicing in big chunks, but it doesn't stick around. And that's been one of my frustrations for a long time, that I'd see this massive improvement in my practice, and then I'd come back the next day and it just wouldn't be there. I'd have to almost regain the whole thing. It just wasn't sticky enough. So instead what you do is you don't practice things more than in 5-minute chunks, and then you move on. So what you do, if you have a lick, that one, you play it and you figure out what is giving you a problem. And for me, it's I think those last few notes, getting up there. So those last few notes there, getting up, that position change gives me a trouble. So you focus on that trouble and see how you're going to solve that. And then you just practice it for 5 minutes, focusing on the difficulty, and then you practice something else and you come back to it. And for some reason, the gains that you make when you practice like this stick around a lot better. You don't notice, you don't feel the improvement like you do when you're practicing in big chunks, but when you do that for a week, you'll notice that the improvements that you make stick. They're actual gains that are committed to your skills, instead of just kind of these short-term big gains. You have these small gains that really just stick around. The second thing that I've been doing that's really helped a lot is practicing things cold, and which is kind of related to what we just talked about. But if I have a lick that I'm having trouble with, both of these are Gonzalo licks. Okay, that's a lick. I've been having a hard time with that. So you play it maybe twice. Again, you figure out what's challenging you about the lick. For me, those last 3 notes are giving me a hard time because I have to use my middle finger. And then you put down your instrument and you walk away. Maybe even going into another room, and then you, in your mind's eye, you focus on when you're coming back as if you're doing a performance, as if you've just stepped on stage for the very first time and you've got butterflies, and you kind of imagine that audience out there, and then you play the lick cold. Okay. Play it maybe twice. Okay, still having a problem there. And then you put down your instrument again, and you do the exact same thing, and you play it cold. Again, only do this maybe for 5 minutes, but every time you get here, just play it cold. And that helps you with your nerves, and it helps you translate what you're doing in the practice room on stage. That's one of my biggest problems is when I practice, I sound fantastic. I sound wonderful. I sound better than everyone. But then when I go out on a performance stage, a lot of times, the nerves get to you, and every musician wants to sound as good on stage as they do in the practice room. And this kind of helps you get to that. And it also helps you realize what gains you've made that are permanent, and what gains are just temporary and that are going to fall apart, the next day. Like, obviously, I need to work on that last part. See? Okay, and so now I know something very important that I need to work on. I miss that every time. Okay, so I spend 5 minutes work on that, go on to something else, come back and do that lick cold, see if I get those last 3 notes again. Hope that helps everyone.